Have you ever thought about firing yourself? I have, quite a bit actually. And I'll explain. It's going to take me a little bit. You're familiar, I'm sure, with the concept of a babysitter or a nanny, someone you hire to watch your children. And put yourself in the shoes of a parent that's just hired a babysitter to watch their children. And you find out at the end of the day when you get back, your kids tell you that the babysitter was on their phone the whole time. The babysitter, it's really easy. We're not going to hire that babysitter again. With a nanny, it might be different. You might have a more formal agreement, and that might not be as easy to break. And your inclination might be the same. Let's fire this nanny and let's get a new one. But if you've ever led anyone or managed anybody in the workplace or really anywhere in life, you may have realized, and if you haven't, well, here's the secret here, is if you've got behavior you don't want, the first thing you need to ask is, were expectations clear for this person? And so with the nanny scenario, were the expectations clear? Did you say, also, when you're with my children, I expect you to not be on your phone? If you didn't, you need to set that expectation. If you have, then it's really about holding people accountable. I wouldn't jump right to firing, but I would remind them about the expectations and etc. And only after repeated patterns of this behavior would I move to that step. And so, how do I apply this to myself? Because I don't consider myself my children's nanny or my children's babysitter. No, I'm my children's father. And I can't really fire myself. Well, I'll get to that. So I've developed something I call commitment theory. It's a philosophy of change. And one of the concepts within this is called facets. A facet is really a different version of ourself. And if you think of it in terms of how you show up at work, how you show up at home, how you show up with friends, you act a little differently. And this is because you're in a different situation and you have different commitments to these people. The commitment you have to your friend might be strong, but it's different than one you have to your spouse or your children or your employer. And each of these is a different facet, and truly every relationship we have is a different facet of ourself. Okay? And if you think of these facets like employees of the self, then you can start to apply what we talked about with the nanny and the babysitter. So if you set clear expectations, holding accountable is a little hard. You got to be tough on yourself. But I think this is where most of us go wrong or aren't very good. We don't have a clear list of expectations of the commitments we have to our friends. At least I don't have a, very deep one. We don't have a clear list of commitments we've written out that we have to our kids or whoever. We have one for our employer, so that's why, hopefully you're doing a good job because the expectations are clear. If you don't, that's another story, that's another video. But the other side of the coin is we don't regularly assess how each of those are doing. And we don't because we don't have any standard to assess against, okay? So how I'm applying this to my life is that I've, set some clear rules for the parent. And the parent isn't supposed to use their phone. But I give that parent a pass because the facet of myself that shows up that's on the phone, he's the scroller. And I can't really fire him. I can create situations where he can't work, but I can't really get rid of him. I can assess whether the parent is handing over duties to the scroller, and that's a problem. But I don't also, where I'm struggling with this is I don't regularly sit down and assess how I'm doing with these things. I have some specifics written down for these facets, but I don't assess. And that scroller, he's like a little gremlin for me. He's always kind of there. And that's really the challenge. Unless I remove the phone entirely, then the scroller, he doesn't have an option to show up to work because that situation's not there for him. And so that's kind of the way I think about this and how I've structured some of my habit change around. These are clear expectations for these different facets of myself. And that carries into not just scrolling on my phone, but any habit I'm trying to change or anything I'm trying to do in life, from hanging out with friends, to hanging out with my wife, to hanging out with my kids, to trying to get stuff done in any area of my life. And so if you're dealing with issues on your phone or any sort of habit change, really consider what are the major commitments in your life. What are your personal expectations for those commitments? And then sit down and really assess how you're doing. And if you have a scrolling issue, make a facet for the scroller and assess how's that person might be really good at their job. But do you want that person working a lot for your company, for your corporation of the self? You probably don't. They're probably dominating too much of the day, and your corporation isn't being successful. And while we can't completely fire that facet, we can work to minimize the time they're spending at work. And that's a different way of thinking about it that I hope helps. If this resonated with you, I'd ask you to subscribe. If you know of anyone in your life that's dealing with issues scrolling on their phone or just habit change in general, let them know I'm here trying to help. And that's all I really have for today. I hope this helped you. I hope with this new way of looking at things, it helps you find a pathway for true change. And yeah, let me know if it worked. Let me know if it didn't resonate, because this is sort of an advanced concept. And if you didn't understand, reach out to me or throw a comment and I'll see what I can do to help additionally. Thank you. Appreciate you. Until next time. Bye.